Welcome to Barbells, Business and Boobs, where we discuss navigating everyday life as lifters, business owners, and being a woman in a male-dominated industry. Today, you have 3 professional strong women on the episode. So very exciting. So welcome, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, for having me. I'm super excited. This is going to be so much fun.
So I was thinking before you came on, so I originally had you in my phone as Katie St. Clair because I've known you, it is 10 years. And fun fact is Katie was my first online client ever in 2015. So we have known each other for a decade.
I didn't know I was your first. That's so awesome. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
been a
first
long
remote.
time.
Mm-hmm. And then how long have you two known each other? You met at a contest, right?
I,
Probably I'm gonna guess 2019 Nationals.
that sounds right. Somewhere in there. You know how it goes. It's all a blur.
Yeah, because I competed in 180s at 2019 Nationals. Were you at 2019 Nationals in Iowa? That was supposed to be in
Yes.
Miami.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I don't know if we like formally met there, but like we at least saw each other there.
I'm
I don't really know
sure.
when I like start to get to know you, but I just all of a sudden knew you and we're friends. So
Yeah.
I don't know, it just happened. I don't know exactly when.
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
so
I was like,
then
oh, a girly lifter that likes, being girly and all the things.
I don't know. I don't know if I was the girliest lifter. I feel like you and Brittany have that title. I'm doing my best, but
You're in
you
there
know,
too. You're in there. Yeah.
maybe for a strong woman, but
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so Katie, you recently achieved getting your pro card. What was the exact date?
So it was August 23rd of this year at a pro-am competition. It's
Okay.
been a long time coming.
Okay, so exactly, yes,
2 months. Yeah,
exactly
exactly two
3
months.
months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my math was
Yeah.
wrong. I was like August,
No.
September, yeah. So okay, how has life changed? Does it feel like you expected it to when you achieved that pro card?
I mean, life really hasn't changed that much. It felt really good, to check that off. It's been something I've been going for a really long time. But in terms of like everyday life, I feel like I'm still just same old me.
Was that, and I know how long you've been working towards that, and you were so determined. Obviously, we're gonna get all into that, but did you have it written down anywhere? Like, was there anything that like you saw every day that now you don't? That's kind of like, oh wow, I did that.
So I didn't have it written down anywhere. In my training journal, I did. So like I guess I kind of checked
Okay.
that off. But I've gotten my approach to goals has changed over the years just based on kind of my journey and the experiences I've had.
Yeah, so walk Christy and I through the very beginning. How did you even find strongman in your area? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I got into strongman actually through training for a Tough Mudder. My husband Luke and I, we were dating at the time, and we were like, hey, let's do this, obstacle course race. So we joined a gym, and it was a powerlifting strongman gym. So we trained, got ready for this Tough Mudder, and then went and did that. And the gym actually put up a flyer of a local strongman competition. And so I was like, hey, let's do this next, just to keep us going. And we went, did that. I think it was like January 4th or something of 2017, I want to say. So the Tough Mudder was 2015. I think right after that I got with you, started training for strongman. And then it was actually like early 2017, I did my first comp. So, and just fell in love. I mean, the girls were amazing. Like, we had stones at that comp because back then it was like every competition had stones. So, just, yeah, absolutely loved it.
Who were some of the girls you looked up to? Was there any at your gym that you were able to talk to, or is it more just the internet?
So it was started as a lot like online social media. Instagram wasn't as big back then, but you were definitely pushing out stuff. I found you and You were my coach, as you mentioned, and just absolutely adored you. Donna Moore, Kimmy Lawrence, she was another one. And then locally, yes, I know. So the OGs will remember her. Um, and then locally, there were a couple girls, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours from me, but that was really it. I just kind of was like head over heels. I was like, yes, this is my whole personality now.
Yeah, so you knew after the first contest, like that's kind of how I was, and Chrissy too. Like you were just like, I'm going in because Chrissy switched from powerlifting, and I had just graduated from rowing, and I feel like we all like went all in right away, which is I feel like there's two type of strong women athletes. You either go all in and it becomes your whole life, or there's some that just kind of dabble. They end up like helping out more at contests. They really like the community, but they don't. I don't want to say have what it takes, but maybe they just don't want to dedicate the amount of time it takes to do the sport
Sure,
because
sure.
yeah, I'm like we all three of us know, all three of us have built our own implements at our house at some point. We all know, what it takes to it's not just training, it's the building of the implement. It's having someone help
Absolutely.
you move the implement. So that's really what was the name of the first gym that you trained at where you had that competition?
It was down in West Virginia, so it was about an hour and a half from me. And I think it was a CrossFit gym. It was called Intense CrossFit. So it was just, I think there were actually like seven middleweights. So, and it was a USF show. So it was a pretty good turnout. And yeah, I just absolutely fell in love with it and just never looked back.
Is
Before the
it?
first contest. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Is it anything like that you've done before? I guess before Tough Mudder, like growing up. I know you like ride horses and stuff, but did you do anything that was similar to Strongman?
I mean, I played soccer for years. I was on travel teams and things like that. So I was always involved in sports, but we didn't have like a strength coach for like any of my travel team. It was just on the field works, push-ups, stuff like that. I always loved the running. I was like, I do it because I have to for the sport. But yeah, that's kind of my
Hmm.
background's mostly soccer.
No, I can't actually remember. Did you have any lifting experience prior, like squats and deadlifts?
I started in college a little bit. Like I did none in high school, absolutely none. I used to do like the beach body workouts at home, like to get ready for soccer, and I'd set up cones in the yard and do, footwork for soccer, but like lifting wise, no. So in college, probably 2016 or so, I probably started like seriously training, just more powerlifting
Okay.
style. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, about a year into it, then you did your first competition. So walk us through the timeline. So January 4th, 2017, you do your first contest, you have stones, you fall in love. What after that day did you then have a structured training program? Did you look for your next contest? Walk us through all of that.
Yeah, so I did that competition. I actually took first at that first competition, which in the open middleweight category. I didn't do novice because I said, heck with it, we're going all the way. So I
Oh, that's cool. I didn't
qualified.
know that.
Yeah, so I qualified for USS Nationals, which was like, I think June or July of that year. And I remember talking to you, Brittany, and I was like, I don't know, I'm so new. Like, I just don't like nationals, like I showed up at this comp and won, but that's a whole nother. And you were like, Katie, we're gonna train for this. You're gonna go, you're gonna do fine. Don't let your fear hold you back. And I did, and it was a blast. I don't even remember how I did, but I remember the girls were so amazing. I was like, this, like, and that solidified it. I was like, there's a whole nother level to this. This is amazing.
I Yeah, I feel like I remember you were frustrated with overhead press at that point because I
Always,
can't remember obviously exactly. Yeah, always, right? But I remember
always.
like right before, I think it was like 2 weeks out when you were like your body was starting to hurt, but I remember you got a PR. I can't remember if it was axle or log, but it was
It was
something. And you were like,
Axel. It was
was it
Axel with
axle?
the
Yeah.
big wagon wheels, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, no, I'm happy you just jumped right in. Okay, yeah, so you had a
absolutely.
similar timeline. I feel like, yeah, you were like my child prodigy because you followed the exact timeline that I did, like where I knew I wasn't ready to go to a national show, or at least I didn't think so, but then I went and I was fine. So yeah, it was so funny because I actually remember the day you reached out to me. I was working, I had like a regular corporate job, and I had always coached on the side. I had done before my like real job when I was still in college. I was doing like a 16 to 18-year old like weightlifting for just girls, and
Hmm.
I couldn't really figure out how to train strongman and do in-person clients. And Eric
Yeah.
Dawson, who you ended up meeting, was a good mentor of mine, and he was like, just take your first online client, I can help you. And he told me that it doesn't matter how much you know or how much you don't know, it matters how much you care. And it was really cool to be able, and then obviously I've been doing it since for like a decade. So it was really cool to have you were like my first client that I became friends with and like have seen the progression. And I remember the conversation, I think it was about a year into it when you were like, I want to get my pro card.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I remember talking to you like, "Oh, this is so exciting. You're such a role model for me, and I'm so glad I went to nationals." And I was like, in my head, I was like, "Oh, and she got her pro card at the Arnold like in this amount of time." And I was like, "Maybe I could do that." And here we are 10 years later.
Isn't that I can relate though because I also qualified for nationals my first year of strongman. Although I had years of powerlifting experience before, but it kind of I mean it was daunting. I didn't think I was going to win nationals or anything like that. But if at nationals I qualified for it was like I did my first show. Well, yeah, and then I did a show that qualified for nationals, and then I went to nationals. And I went to Arnold all in the first year of competing, and although you're not really ready for national level weights, but do you think like that, like just qualifying so fast for nationals is like part of the process of making it so addicting almost, or like that have any?
I think so. I mean, so after that USS Nationals, I did a Strongman Corporation show because I was like, I'll try that, and so I did one of those, and I ended up winning that, and so then it was my first Strongman Corporation Nationals was 2017 in the fall, so I did two nationals that year and qualified for the Arnold. Like squeaked in. They took I think top eight. I was like
Yeah.
tied for eight, and they were like, "Yep, we'll take you." And I was like, "Oh my word!" Like, so yeah, but it
Because at that
definitely,
point,
yeah.
at that point in time, Dion was trying to grow Strongman Corporation and get more pros involved. That like the rules for getting to the Arnold were sometimes just I feel like made up on the spot because at first it'd be like top three, then top five, then a percentage. So it was kind of
Yep.
like she was
Yeah.
just trying, which was a blessing obviously because
Hmm.
it helped grow the sport. But I remember it was like, oh, I qualified for nationals, cool, because I was in the same boat. Like when I won nationals, I was top five when I was told it was only top three, and I was like, oh, cool, okay.
That's the sport though, honestly. Like it's always changing. I never like we've all been in it so long and people will ask me and I'm like, "Well, usually, but who knows?"
Yeah.
Well, it's actually funny that I just said that. I just realized that because I was thinking that like the sport I do now, bodybuilding, is different, but it's not because I just did like a national show and I got second, and usually it's top two that get pro cards, but
Yeah.
because bodybuilding had like less than 20, it was only one, but they didn't tell us till like that day.
Oh.
So
Oh.
it's fine.
You know what?
I didn't want.
Yes, it'll make it better in the end.
Oh
If
yeah.
if you can
No,
take
I
anything
know.
from me and my 10-year journey too, it'll make it better.
Oh no, I know exactly. I was just telling that to Christy the other day. I'm like,
Oh,
for certain people, like you were one of them, Katie, like because I could see their trajectory. It's like you're not going to give up. It's not necessarily like I don't like calling it chasing your pro card anymore because that's what I called it when I was younger. It's
yeah,
just earning it. Like if you
sure.
want it to happen, it's definitely going to happen. It's just sometimes
Hmm.
you have to patience. Like it can take a decade.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right, I want to get right to it because I was so excited to talk to you when I was younger because I remember. So I started this sport. Everyone thought I was on steroids because I was naturally muscular, and I was so anti steroids. And you told me right away, like I will never do anything, and I love
Mhm.
love that because I was proud. I I achieved my pro card naturally. I did not do anything until I achieved it. And you said, like, no matter what, I will never do that. And I know that's caused, you have written a lot about it on social media, made content about it. So walk us through that. Like, when did you, because I remember when I was at a strongman gym and I heard people were doing it, I just couldn't believe it. I thought it was the worst thing in the world. Like, I just didn't know females, 19-year-old me didn't know females even really did that.
Right, sure. And it's funny too how like kind of the culture shift of like no one used to talk about it at all. And now honestly, I think it's great that it's more open, it's less taboo, people can talk about it. We're removing the stigma. But yeah, for me personally, it was since day one, it was just a decision that I made that I just would not compromise on. It's just aligns with my convictions and I kind of just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it without. I knew that there was a lot of development that needed to be done. And to me, the sport has never been at a point where it was worth it for me, like financially or even like the stages that are offered. It didn't make sense for me. So that's kind of why I chose to do this natty. And people kind of, some people get annoyed. They're like, oh, that's Katie's talking about drugs again. And she's, talk on her high horse, which is not at all true. I think that it should be talked about more because when I started, nobody talked about it. And it was really hard to kind of know, like, hey, who's doing, what's realistic, for whatever path you choose to take. So.
How did you
Yeah.
first hear about it? Like the first conversation, was it at a gym?
Um, I mean, oh gosh, I don't remember. I think I just kind of noticed like, some of these women are really progressing extremely fast. Something's different here. I don't think it was any one person or, experience, but I think it just kind of was like, I know it's out there, but I don't know where it's at and who's, it was just, yeah.
Do you think that there's more people or like more women on PEDs in strongman now than there were back then? Or are people just talking about it more? Like, have you seen like competing when you show up to shows where you're like, whoa, like, whoa, or has it always been kind of, do you
I
feel like the
feel like
same?
there's probably a slightly more just because the sport is
Mhm.
bigger, but I feel like it's always been there. I mean, most definitely.
Mhm.
And of course, at your local
Yeah.
show to nationals to the Arnold, the percentage of who's on changes and increases,
Mm.
most likely, typically.
Right.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
would,
Because
it's, go ahead.
sorry, there's a little lag. Because I see like with the newer generation of at least powerlifters, like Natty is getting a little more popular. Like, but also then I see so much more content online that is talking about steroids and it's removing the taboo and it's also educating, but also sometimes I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, really. So, right? Because it's like I'm conflicted about it, and it's always a very conflicting thing. But that's why I think it's good for you to talk from your side. Being natural is also important to at least have other examples that you can see. But why? Like, what drives you to talk about it online? Like, what is your motivation behind that? Are you trying to reach young women, or what's your motivation?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's just honestly, when I started, I was constantly looking for someone, role models of like women that were doing it the same way as me. And because it was not being talked about, I would talk to women and they would say, oh, yeah, I'm doing it this way. And I was like, that's amazing. And then come to find out, like, no, that's not at all the case. So I think just for me, I want to put out there as often and as much as I can about that, just so that other women can kind of if they can see themselves in me in their own journey and that can inspire them of like, I don't have to settle, or I don't have to make decisions I don't want to, or sacrifice performance. That's kind of what I want to put out there, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's super important to have a voice like that out there. No, that's really good.
Yeah, and Chrissy, I think what you said, I constantly wonder the same thing about, because there is more content out there. And I was having an interesting conversation about this maybe last year with Anthony, actually, because I think it was, yes, it was Anthony Furman. You guys know how he can be on the internet with his high horse. Love him. But yeah, he can be very loud about his opinion. And he had put up a question box about how people weren't good role models if they didn't admit to using steroids. And at first, I remember it was a poll and I agreed with it. Then, when I was discussing with Anthony, he was like, well, what if someone is a teacher and they don't want their third graders to know about their use of steroids? And I was like, wow, I've never thought about it that way. It's
I
so
will
scary
say,
though,
I
because then,
agree. I will say
yeah,
it's different to not talk about it than it is to lie about it. Those are two different
yes,
things. And that's where the
yes,
problem for me, if you are purposefully bringing it up or not kind of dodging the question in a, humble way, I think that's where the problem lies. But yeah, I completely
yes,
agree. There's nothing
I
wrong
agree.
if
And
you
I think,
don't, yeah, if you don't want to put it out there, there's nothing wrong with that. But just kind of don't blatantly lie. I don't think that's hard to ask.
Mhm.
yes. The reason, so I remember a pivotal moment when I decided to talk about it was because I was
Mhm.
getting really upset that girls that had like 3 years lifting experience wanted to dabble with something. And I was like, no, 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 no. I lifted for 12 years, won a professional show. And then when there was money on the line, I decided to dabble. And also, this is what
Mhm.
I'm doing because I was blown away and I'm still learning. It's a science. I'm still
Mhm.
learning and educating myself about what's appropriate dosage. And I remember Chrissy one time asked me, like when we became friends, like, have you ever done anything? And I said, yes, hold on. I have a Google document outlining every single milligram. Every day I took it exactly what happened because it was probably the scariest thing I ever did. I think something that put it in perspective for me was when I was talking about it with others that have done it. They said, well, you've taken birth control for 10 years. That is a PED. And I was like, you're right. So that kind of for me put it in a different perspective. But I was like you, where I was like, I want to achieve this without doing anything. And I
Mhm.
started talking about it myself because I was kind of getting mad because there was girls at the gym that said I was on stuff, and I was like, I would never. So I was kind of getting a little. Even now, people think I do so much stuff, and I'm like, oh gosh, I have a period at a week out. So if that doesn't speak for itself, then I don't know
I,
what to tell you. But I'm
I
so
think
happy that you took
people,
that.
yeah, absolutely. And I think people severely underestimate hard work and severely overemphasize drugs. That's my
Yes,
opinion.
Yeah.
yes. But I also, and then this is the last point I'll make about this, I'm just really passionate about it. I get really upset, just like you did, Katie, when someone says that they're natural and they're not. So, for example, and I usually don't call people out, but she's a famous influencer, Dana
I know you're
Levine,
going to say
she
yes.
talks about how she's natural. And I'm like, I want to be like, honey, if you did something once, your chemistry of your body from taking PEDs is changed forever. You don't lose, you do something, you don't lose that strength. Maybe you don't do anything now and you feel worse because you're not on those performance enhancing drugs. But
Mhm.
once you take something, you can no longer call yourself natural ever. So I'm very passionate
Exactly.
about that because
Right.
I talk to people and I'm like, I call them out all the time. They're like, oh, I'm not on anything. I'm like, but you did something.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. And Kate,
Absolutely.
I'm really grateful for you speaking out about it because because I need an example, a positive example, okay? Because I'm not going to be a hypocrite as well, but I coach um, a lot of women who come from different strength backgrounds, like maybe they did a little bit of powerlifting and now they're in a strongman. And at least, every other month I'll get a question about, hey, Christy, I'm thinking about starting PEDs. I don't know where to start or should I start? And with these levels of athletes that I'm seeing, I'm always saying, I'm always saying no and, really, well, talking through it with them, right? But they need examples. of that they can get there. Because also you get really into the sport, you're like obsessed with it, you really want to do well, you work so hard for a year or a year and a half, you dedicate your life to it, but you're still not a pro, right? Like, so you get frustrated, and you're like, see what maybe you think the pro level people are doing, and so you want to do that. But it does take a long time. Even for me, it took me, I've been strength sports since 2014. So it took me 10 years as well, but less time with the strongman. But it just goes to show, like, it's yes, how hard you work. And sometimes it's just staying in the game long enough and have the cards fall right too. So
Absolutely. That's a
I'd like to be
hard,
like, hey,
yeah,
yeah,
that is
yeah,
a
like
hard
this.
lesson to learn.
Mhm.
You can train and you can do everything right and
Mhm.
execute on competition day and it can still not happen for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for
I
being my
always say,
example.
yeah,
Oh,
I always say it's
well,
a little
not
bit of
just
luck.
me. I mean, not just me. There's so many. Chloe
Right.
Brennan,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I send her too.
Angelica. Yes, Angelica,
I send
AJ.
that. Yeah. No. Yeah. I send all that too. Like, did you ever think that, like it wasn't going to happen?
Oh my. Yeah. I mean, I lots of times thought, man, maybe this just is not meant for me. Maybe I set the goal a little too high. I mean, because when you're half a point off, one spot out of finals, like time and time again, it is hard to keep your chin up when you're just constantly getting knocked down.
Yeah.
And just reviewing competition videos and talking with my coach and Luke and all my support system and just being like, there's little things, but the hardest times were when it was like, I did everything I could. There were no mistakes really visible.
Hmm.
It just wasn't enough. And that's hard. That's really
Yeah.
hard.
That's something I always tell my athletes, and it's really hard for me to take my own advice. But you go to a contest, you execute exactly how you have to. You even get a few PRs, but you didn't get the pro card, and it's like, okay, well, can I be upset when I literally did my best? And it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, you're so proud of yourself, but on one hand, you still have that underachieved goal hanging over your head. So, and I remember you reached out to me a few times about, I think you said, like, Brittany, do you think I have what it takes? Be honest. And you had asked a few coaches, and like some of them gave you weird answers. And I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, I do. I was like, but what's your reason for trading? Because that's going to be way more important than a pro card.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what I want to talk about now is kind of the progression with training. And I remember you were stuck on getting a 405 deadlift for a while, and then
Oh,
you
yeah.
achieved it. So, yeah. So, talk to
Yeah,
us
that
about,
that
yeah,
took me
body and performance.
years. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my training, when you start training, you have the beginner gains, everything's good, you're loving life. And as the years progress, PRs are harder and harder and harder. And my deadlift was always like people are like, "Oh, you're either a good deadlifter or you're a good presser." And I was like, "Oh, well, I don't fit into either of those right now." So for years, like my deadlift was just lagging and just did a ton of work on it. And I was chasing 405, like could not break 400. Like I was literally stuck at like a 385, 390 deadlift for like 4 or 5 years. Like it took me, I didn't hit over 400 on a deadlift till probably 2022. I mean,
But
it's been,
couldn't you like double? Couldn't you double
oh
like or
yeah,
triple
yeah,
390? So you didn't do it with like a mental
yeah.
block?
Oh, I was doing 6 plus at three. Yeah, and I did have like an injury. I joined I'm officially a strongman because I hurt my back. I have disc issues in my lumbar spine, that club. But yeah, it took me forever to get to that. But it was funny once things were clicking with my deadlift. That next year, I hit the farmer's walk record. I like hit a 430 deadlift. Like it just everything. I won the America's Strongest Woman Ukrainian deadlift event, like just stuff like that. I didn't win it. Actually, I think I was second. Aaron Murray won that, of course, but still, I mean, yeah, for me, second on a deadlift at that show was good.
So what
Amazing.
helped, what changed with your training and changed with your training for your deadlift, and then also walk us through the day you hit 405. Like, was it just a regular training day? Did you go in like knowing you were going to hit 405?
So it was just a regular training day. Terry, my coach Terry Rady, he shout out to him. He knows me so well, sometimes more than I know myself, and he'll put things on my program that scare me, but I know and I've learned if he puts something on there, he knows I can do it. So that's kind of what happened. He had it on and I said, "All right, we'll see how it goes." And just kept adding plates and adding plate and I got up. It was actually a 1 inch deficit too, because we were training them. And so, yeah, it was the first time I hit over 400. I doubled it on a deficit. And we had just been hammering my deadlift for years. I found a cue that really worked well for me. I started to kind of pull my feet apart, and it kind of just helped engage everything. And just that was the perfect recipe for a good, finally a decent deadlift.
So you're saying, so the cue, I want to know more about that. So you were like, when your feet were on the floor, you were thinking pulling them apart?
Yes. So if I was standing on a piece of paper, I was trying to rip the paper in half. And
Okay.
I had never done that cue. I had never, and for me, it just clicked. I mean, when I pick farmers now, I do that. I put, and I'm telling you, it works for me.
That's Chrissy. Do you have any cues that helped you deadlift post back injury?
Well, so I use that like the pull apart like I pull apart thing. I always say like there's like earthquake. I'm a little bit like so there's an
Oh,
earthquake between your legs. You're trying to like push the
yeah.
like plates away, but or the ground away. But and I do like that cue. But for me recently, I mean there's it was for me it's mostly taking my time to brace because I would just like grip and rip like just like yeah like just like panic pull. So learning to take my time and get tight, and for me right now is thinking about long arms is helping, and also bracing a little bit differently. I went to a pelvic floor specialist and she helped me like learn how to like brace my abs without bearing down, and like kind of like getting everything tight in. So those two things. But I do like that like tear apart the ground cue, and I use that a lot with like squatting and stuff too. But for me, it's just all about not panic pulling and like getting tight at the bottom. That was really it.
That's no, that's really, I asked that specifically because for me, I'm actually the opposite. So I found, because I was always told like push apart, and then one day I tried like squeezing in, almost like I was squeezing
Mm,
my adductors as a pull, and that helped me protect my back a little bit better.
mm.
So I think I always like to ask people when like what their deadlift cue is. So
It's funny too. Everyone's so different and it changes.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Christy just said, like yeah, that's crazy.
I know. Well, it's actually funny because sometimes I think about like, so I just wrote myself a new program for this week, and I'm squatting 3 times a week, but only one is like a spinal compression. The rest are machines or leg presses. And I was thinking like, oh, I kind of want to add deadlift back in, but it's like it's not worth it for me
Yeah.
because it makes my erectors too big, and like then I can't squat 3 times a week, which is what I need for growth. But it's funny because like my deadlift now when I do it has, I've added so much muscle to my lower body that I can't even like, even my stance is different. So I now can relate because it was really hard for me sometimes to coach when they would put on like 30 pounds because I was like, okay, everything completely changed. Like, how do I coach them properly? And so now I can relate because I put on that much muscle. And so my deadlift is just completely different. So it's really interesting how that changed. And that leads me to my next question. So I know that you worked with a couple of diet coaches. Do you remember the body weight that you started strongman at? Were you a true middleweight, or did you try and gain weight and then had to cut later? What did that look like for you?
So the weight classes for USS were different. Middleweight for them was 165. So that first show, I think I walked at like 168. So I literally just like skipped breakfast the morning away. Like it was easy. But in true me fashion, I was still like so worried and anxious about weigh-ins. Um, and then when I qualified for the Arnold, that first Arnold from the 2017 Nats, I it was a 180. And I remember you, Brittany, encouraged me like, okay, let's put on some size, let's start eating. And so I really started to like be more conscious about macros and like learning that whole, how to push food. And honestly, I always say for that first Arnold, I got up to like 178. And ever since then, I've just been pushing food and I've been over 180 since then. Never went back.
Do you think that will change now that, and we'll get into more of, like, your decision to retire, but do you feel comfortable walking around at that weight now, or do you find like you don't have to push food as much?
I honestly feel comfortable. I have not even been on the scale since I turned pro at that August show.
Good.
But I feel good. Like I feel good at this weight. My clothes are still fitting well. I'm not getting winded doing things. And so I think I'll probably stay around here. But it's so hard to tell as life changes and time goes on. We'll see.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so interesting too, and it's just a good thing to like talk about. I know it's kind of always like we're all in weight classes, so it's like not like rude to talk about the weight, like how much do you weigh and how do you walk around to honor the bird. But I want people to know is that usually the weight you start when you start lifting is probably gonna be their lowest weight weight you're ever gonna be after you start. I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, a lot of times, a lot of people might start lifting with maybe they had a lot of weight loss and then they start lifting, so that might be a little bit different. But we can't really get attached to like, yeah, I used to be at
Yeah.
165. Well, it's like, well, you don't really have that much muscle.
Yeah.
You weren't really eating a lot, or
Yeah,
so like your like strong weight, like your strong weight is gonna change.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then Katie, just like the being a natural athlete and you being a good advocate for that, you've always been a good advocate of, what you weigh and how it's just a number. How did you deal with some of the backlash you would get from close friends, family, all that? Because I know, I remember I sent you the episode when I proudly talked about I stuck up for myself to a guy because of you, because it broke my heart that someone that you knew had said something about your weight, and I was like, okay, that's what the moment I grasped, like, okay, I don't care what I weigh, but there's a lot of people in the world that think females should still be,
Mhm.
130 pounds in a size 2.
Yeah, it is hard. I mean, I feel like we get it from all different angles. And even like Christy said, being in a weight class sport is hard, because you do a little bit have to focus on the scale, when you're in a prep. So I think it's something that's always changing and evolving, like your relationship with food and the scale. But for me, especially now, like being on the other side of it, as long as I am feeling good in my skin and I'm able to do the things I love and not be super, for me, like when I get together with family, I want to be able to eat and not feel bad about it, So just finding more of a balance for me helps me not care about what other people say, because if I'm happy and able to feel good and have the fitness that I want to, then it shouldn't matter.
Yeah, no, that can definitely be hard. And I am shocked people still get backlash for that stuff. I guess I was lucky that my family was pretty supportive. I also come from a family of giants where I'm actually the shortest and the smallest, so I didn't really have to deal with that. But then even recently, I had a client and her husband said something about her gaining weight because it was muscle. So I was like, wow, this really does still happen. It's shocking because it's 2025, but again, I'm in the fitness world, so I see it. I don't work a regular job anymore where it was more prevalent there. So no, thank you for talking about that. And I always loved your reels. And so did that ever inspire you to start your meal prep company? Like when you started tracking macros and talking about things like that?
So it was kind of through the sport. with traveling, like we would always see meal prep companies, like when we'd go to competitions, different cities and places around. And I said to my husband, man, why does our town not have something like this? This is such a nice service for this area. And like, back home, we don't have anything like this. So at that time, I was kind of not super happy in my job. And I talked to some friends, and I have a friend that owns a supplement store, and he was like, I think you should go for it. We'll carry the meals, you can deliver here. And so it kind of just spun from me seeing it other places and thinking that my community back home could use it. So that was in 2020. And here we are 5 years later. It's been super, very well received, and I just love doing it. I love it so much.
Okay, so now I want to talk about the retirement. So, did you know in the back of your head, like when I achieve getting my pro card, I'm going to walk away?
So the funny thing is, I had actually, and I haven't put this out there or told anyone. Luke, my husband Luke knows, and my coach. But prior to the August competition, I had made my mind up that I was going to be done, regardless of what happened. So, and of course, that was before I earned my pro card. I just said, I am not enjoying training anymore. My body is pretty battered. I have some some stuff tore in both knees. My Achilles is always throwing a fit and giving me issues, and not anything major where it's forcing me out, but it was just enough that all of the things combined kind of added up. And when I talked to Terry about it prior, he had always said, when I talked to my coach and Luke, they had always said, no, no, like you're not done. You still have more, like there's more there. And when I started talking to them at the beginning of this year, prior to this past August, they kind of were like, okay, well, like let's give it a good run and do a couple more shows. And if you're done, you could be done. So I kind of knew like, okay, they're on board with this. It is getting to be my time. So I mean, that makes it even more special the way that, I went 5 for 5 at that comp, won my pro card, and I was like, this is good confirmation.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When
Yeah, that's
when I saw that post too that you retired, I think I was in Iceland. I was like, Gary, like, do you see this? But also like I wasn't like I was like surprised but not surprised at the same time. I'm like, well, it was more like this makes sense,
Mhm.
like, and this is I feel like this is like a good thing. Like I feel like she made a decision for herself, and it's really cool that you went out like on your own terms and on a high note. Like,
And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be forced out from an injury. I didn't want to realize, hey, I can't hang with these girls anymore. I really truly feel like there's still more in the tank, and that's perfect. That's how I wanted to end. And honestly, I want to just get back to enjoying training. I've been so hyper fixated on getting this pro card, and just a little crazy about it that it's really become work. And I see my husband Luke, he's a guy that, maybe traditionally hasn't done a lot of the big shows and had a ton of success in that way, but he is one of the grittiest guys I know. He loves hard training, and he really has put his own competition life on the back burner for me. So that's another thing. I'd really like to see him, if he wants to, do some more competitions. But he's a guy that just loves training strongman. And I love it. Like I love to watch him train with the guys and just hang out, and he's just all smiles. So that is really what I want to get back to, just kind of enjoying it again. Because you get lost in it, and man, when it becomes work, it is hard work. Like when it's a job, that's a hard place to be.
yeah, I get it
yeah.
because like I feel like when I was prepping for the Arnold, that was like also a full-time job for, not full-time job for Gary, but Gary, like our husbands are like setting up the equipment and dealing with like, putting some things on hold for you. Um, and it's very consuming. And then you see him kind of enjoying training and like having fun. You're like, oh, I remember when I started, when I first started, I felt like that, and I want that feeling again. So what's your training like now? Are you still coaching with Terry? Do you have a structured program, or are you just doing whatever you want? What's going on?
So I am for now still with Terry. And he's kind of been great at just being like, hey, we'll throw in farmers this week if you feel like it. We'll do some ollie lifts. We'll do just some bodybuilding pump stuff, bro stuff. So it's been a little bit of everything. He has me doing like CrossFit circuits. I say CrossFit, but I mean, it's, for me it is. So it's been, yeah, really fun, and just I'm kind of like starting to enjoy it again. But I will say it is very, very weird to be in the gym without like a overarching like this is my next step. And it's weird. I'm like, am I like training for health now? This is like kind of amazing. Like I feel so good after my sessions. I'm not like dying, like laying on the floor.
No, that's definitely a good thing. That's something that I struggled with, I think, the most after retiring from strength sports was like the linear progression not always being there. Like, what do you mean I'm not going to try to go up 5 pounds in my squat this week? So, and now I still have that issue with my programming, and I'm more focused on my form, making sure, because that's actually, it's funny because before, like, how strongman, it's like you want to be explosive and have power, and it's opposite in bodybuilding. So I'll always look at my hack squat and I'm like, hell yeah. Because I look at guys and I'm like, I usually look at men's physique because they're about the same weight as me. And I'm like, I have to do more than them. Like, I still have that strength athlete in me. But then I have to make sure that I'm not like on the hack squat, like I'll bounce out of the bottom because just like strongman, I'm explosive still. But it's like, no, if I pause for a second, go down with a 3-second negative, it is so much harder. So that's what I do now. I play little games with myself because I'll be honest, ever since I stopped strongman, like that part has never stopped being hard for me. So I'm glad that you are feeling good after every session, because I feel like I was feeling worse because I was just adding so much volume.
I'm trying it out. We'll see how long I can keep it. I mean, yeah, we'll see. I'm very competitive like you, so I don't know if it'll be here to stay, but for the meantime, it feels good to kind of just get that, high after I train of like, okay, I feel pretty good. I'm not destroyed.
Well, I'm sure you have a lot more time now, because if your sessions aren't 3 hours of strongman, what's filling that space for you now?
So, as you mentioned earlier, Brittany, like I've always loved horses. I grew up not with horses, but I would ride as much as I could. And my husband and I recently just got a property and house, and we're working on building a barn because we want to get some horses. So, my goals potentially are to maybe start competing with the horses. And so, I'm teaching myself to rope. So, so that's been interesting.
So cool.
Brittany, you probably have lots of cowgirls out your way in Vegas.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of ranches and stuff. No, I think that's awesome, but I do think it's really special. Obviously, I'm a little biased for strongman, but when you can train like that and endure, 10 years of not getting what you want, and then also on top of injuries, when you go into competing in something else, you'll be amazed because that competitive edge, I think, carries you. I just don't see other athletes like strongman are. They're just not as headstrong. So I think it's a really special talent to take with you to other sports. So
Yeah, that's exciting. That's good to hear.
It's not going to be as hard. It's not going to be as hard.
Yeah, you're like, this is it.
Everything I've tried. Yeah.
Honestly,
Everything I've tried. Yeah.
What could be harder than a max distance Husafell? Let's be honest. Like we're unstoppable. If you can do that, you can do anything.
That was actually one of my questions. I like to kind of end on a fun note. I wanted to ask you if tomorrow you had to either do a max deadlift and you would get, let's just say you achieve this max deadlift and you'll get horses in a barn put up for you. Like, it doesn't cost you anything. Or you have to do a max Husafell every day for the next 2 years? Which one would you choose?
Oh, that's so easy. The deadlift.
Really? Okay.
For
That's
sure.
way too easy.
Oh,
Really,
yeah.
I wasn't sure because I know sometimes like with deadlifts, like okay, like I could hurt my back for the next 3 months, so I
Oh,
wasn't
no
sure.
way. I would risk it. I mean, I've already had to crawl out of the gym from my back, so like it can't get worse than that.
Gotcha. All right, now we talked a lot. What is something that if you could give one piece of advice to anyone listening or any woman that is just getting involved with strength sports, what would it be?
Oh, okay. Let me think. I want to gather my thoughts. I would say don't get discouraged if it takes longer than you think it should. And do not, you hear it all the time, but do not compare yourself to others because your journey and the path that you're taking is yours. It's no one else's. And it sounds so cliche, but I can tell you like it is so true. And you don't like you're not helping yourself by comparing yourself. So when you focus on your own progress, that's what's going to grow when you put your energy there. So that would be my advice to a younger me and to anyone that's watching this.
Yes,
Mhm.
very solid, beautiful advice that all of us can use a reminder from time to time. Because you might be good at it one contest and then you might start creeping on your
Mhm.
competitor and then you're like stuck in your head. So I think that's a beautiful reminder to always do that. Well, thank you. So, Christy, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I just was saying that, that was beautiful, and you're definitely proof of that sentiment of like, you know, you just have to put their time in and, learn lessons along the way. And of course, not compare yourself to others because you chose your path. And it was definitely for strongman, it was a unique path, and it's just crazy. I'm just so proud of you. And um, just so happy to see you have like accomplished what you set out for after all that time. So
I know
Thank
it's so
you.
awesome
congratulations.
to see.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Katie, where can a listener find you? What's your Instagram handle and what is your meal prep company?
So my Instagram is K8_strongman Barbie. If you know me,
Okay.
I love pink, like you, Brittany. Pink and
Yeah,
cheetah
I'll put
print.
it
You can find me in
yes,
that. Yes.
always. I'll put it in
And
the show notes.
and my meal prep business is simplenutritionmeals.com.
Perfect. I'll put both those in the show description. So make sure you follow Katie. And I'm sure she's always been an ambassador for the sport. If anyone wants to talk to her, I'm sure she's an open book. I know she's always happy to help other females. So thank you so much, Katie. And hopefully I see you. I feel like it's been a long time.
It
Hopefully I
has.
see you next
Maybe
year.
maybe I'll bump into you out there at a rodeo or something sometime.
Oh my gosh.
We'll
Yes,
see.
come to we have
Full
Cowboy Christmas every December.
We have
Yes.
So find
we
us.
have rodeos here in South Carolina. There's horses.
Okay, let's do it. Yes. Well, this was so fun, girls.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.